I'm standing in a dam that was built in the 1800s to supply water to a mine that was operating in the area at the time. I'm Ricky Muir and welcome back to my channel, Centre Life Adventure. In one of my previous videos, I set out to discover this dam by going to the mine and the boiler and following the water race, which is directly in front of me, until I eventually discovered the dam. At the time, the dam did have some water in it, but being in the middle of summer, it has dried up now. I wasn't sure of where the catchment to the dam would actually be, and I assumed it would be from the gullies up and around it. However, on that trip, I discovered something that fascinated me. And to put it simply, it's that the catchment up behind the dam is nowhere near enough to sustain a 1 million gallon dam that will constantly have water moving through it for mining activities. So while I was here, I explored beyond the dam wall and discovered that the water race actually continues. So in that video, I said I'll come back another day to investigate where the source of the water actually came from. And that's what I'm up to today. It will be hard to make out in the camera, but there's a dam in front of me. I'm standing on the dam wall directly here, and then it drops off immediately and the gully continues on below. So I'm on the downside of the dam wall now. That's the dam wall directly behind me, and I'm using me for reference. So for those who remember my last video, I tried my best to get into the water race, and if you can actually see in the video, that's ground level there. I'm actually down in the water race right now. Being in the middle of summer and some of the world's most deadliest snakes living in the Australian bush, 3 of them off the top of my mind, particularly in this area, I don't feel overly safe even with the snake gaiters on. So this is going to be a slow trip as I investigate the water race, and I'm going to take the clearest possible path rather than just pushing through the bush as I go. So the dam's back a little bit further. As you can probably see, it's pretty overgrown. I come down through the gully and around rather than actually stepping in unknown ground. Anyway, let's follow it. Okay, plenty of trees and vegetation all over the water race. They reckon a certain percentage of snake bites actually occur when stepping over logs, so that makes me very excited. You can see the race. You can see it clearly in the camera actually. It's going up this way. There's another log across the track up further. We'll walk up there. If I've read everything correctly, I think I've got about a 2-kilometre walk ahead of me, which is 1 point something miles, using the other lingo. Jeez, hard to see anything in the leaf matter. It's very easy for snakes and lizards and anything else to camouflage themselves in this. The water race is going in through all this thick scrub here. While I'm walking through that, my feet will be disappearing down through leaf matter and everything, putting my body at all sorts of precarious angles to where critters may be. So I'm going to go out and around in this lighter scrub. This bit's really fascinating actually. It's quite a flat area. To me that would insinuate there's plausible that there actually might have been some kind of a hut here once upon a time, but that's not what I'm here to discover. I intend on getting to the beginning of this water race. This could end up being a 3-part video yet. Geez, I shouldn't doubt myself. I was just the other side of this thick scrub when I filmed that last section there. I come around a hole of about 50 metres. I did walk down and around rather than through the scrub, but then all of a sudden I'm in an area where a controlled burn went through many months ago, and you can't mistake that water race. It is as clear as daylight and it appears to go quite a way where I'll be able to easily see where it is and see what I'm stepping on. Not to spoil anybody's fun, but I've done enough research to know that the water came from this creek down here. But I'm a long way up from the creek, So I need to find where this water race intercepts this creek. And for the water to be able to go from its source to the dam and then flow from the dam to where the mine was, everything needed to be more or less flat, slightly downhill. Right now, for the water to get up here, it just can't without being pumped or something. So I'm thinking there's going to be some kind of dam and flume or evidence of it back at the beginning where all this starts. We'll see. There's a creek down below, tall tree ferns and everything else, a nice little green area. And then up the hill here a little bit further, it's well drained and dry, but you get a bit of an indication of how far down the water source actually is. I think I've come to a section where mining history meets timber history. There's the water race along here, and right up here, that flat section is what I'm assuming would have been a forestry track. Yeah, you see it actually cuts down right on to where the water race would be. The water race is just there, the other side of the tree, and this side of the tree, it's gone. It's become part of this wider track. But I'm pretty confident that it only crosses through and the water race continues off in its own direction. So the track's still reasonably clear. I'm still not back on the water race yet. It's these bits that make me paranoid, crossing over these. There's that many hidey spots for reptiles that are just as cautious of me as what I am of them. However, they're camouflaged and have venom. I just want to leave them alone. So yeah, it's a case of watch my step very carefully here. Still that wider track, but I think I can actually see an indentation down here where the water race wasn't completely hidden by bulldozers back in the day. I actually got fooled then. I was following this track and assuming that I'll pick up on the water race. That's where it came from, but I actually looked up the hill here just beside me, and just below this charred tree here, there's a little flat section, and that is the water race. So the track, the forestry track most certainly did cross over it, but I actually didn't notice where it, the water race diverted again and when it's on its own normal path. There it is there. So I'll keep following this. Okay, so it's going up around a bend, and that's for pretty obvious reasons. There's another gully coming up here. The creek where the water source comes from goes that way. This gully runs down into that. So obviously, rather than build a flume, they've just gone around it. So I'd end up walking around the top of that gully. Obviously, getting into lower sections of gullies where there's more moisture, you have to expect that a control burn might not actually be able to get in here, and the vegetation to be a whole heap thicker. I've just followed the water race up until it hit this big log here. It's come through out the other side, and then it takes a dog leg and appears to go straight across the gully. So they would have, my assumption is there would have been some kind of piping to get it over here. More than likely some kind of timber flume, and rather than pipe, an actual open wooden structure. I am onto some history books. Haven't had a chance to read over them yet, but I'll hopefully have some more definitive answers on that at some stage soon. So over here is where I lost that water race, and I kind of assumed I'd have to go through some pretty thick scrub, and I was hoping that I'll be able to find an alternative thankfully nature's provided me a bit of a bridge. Standing on a big log now. It continues down through there. I can either take a path along this log and then jump back up, but I'm going to go this way just to make sure that I didn't miss where the water race jumps back over. Not sketchy at all. So it took a little bit for me to spot it when I came over the other side of the gully, but this is the beginning of it here. Well, the water flow was actually back this way, so somewhere about here it would have entered a timber flume and crossed the gully to about the base level of those trees there, where that log that I was originally standing on was. So it would have been amazing to see this 100 odd years ago, 110, 120 years ago. Would have been a very different looking area. Anyway, pretty thick through here, so I might put the camera down and pay pretty good attention to where I'm going. The water race itself is going through here, up past that tree fern. The log I'm standing on is well and truly hollowed out. It's about to collapse under my feet, so I'm going to go around this way and find a clearer spot. Too thick to go pushing through there without knowing what's in there. Alright, on the other side of that ferny area, I can see the race again. It's a little bit clearer. Still very thick on the ground. Yeah, just to think back to the 1800s, this was hand dug. Any use of animals would have been absolutely minimal, and most of the work would have been done by pick and shovel. I had somebody ask me a while ago, did the old timers find gold while they were digging these? Well, they weren't looking for it, so to speak, while they were digging these. However, there's plenty of prospectors in modern day times using metal detectors have definitely found gold in the dirt on the outside here, on the outside edge, that had been dug out of the ground. So yes, in some cases gold most certainly was dug out of the ground while building the water races, but the purpose of the old timers being where the water race was to build the water race, so they weren't necessarily prospecting at the time. So I've been going for a while now without recording. I'm over halfway, probably getting close to 2/3. Water race is out in front of me now. If I look down towards the gully where the water source comes from, the creek bed's not too far down there. So water race is right here, it's still going that way. So we'll be getting pretty close to where, for gravitational purposes, this would have actually been put in place. I'll tell you what, Mother Nature's not making it easy on me. I need to go this way, there's trees all over the place. This is only a little one. Geez, I've climbed over some big trees when I haven't had the camera rolling. I'll go this way. Back to another section where it's hard to spot it, but it is just through here. So it got really hard to find in here. I actually didn't film any of it because I lost the race multiple times. But I have pushed on a little bit further. I picked up on it again. The creek bed's just down in here. So I must be only hundreds of meters at best away from it. The water race is right here. So I'll continue following that. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge, I suppose, just because of how overgrown it is. It's reasonably warm today. Slow going because everything's a snake, and you've heard me speak about that multiple times. And of course the bush just keeps getting in the way. Things just took an interesting turn. I've just come through here, lost the water race again, then picked up on it, But then this over here is the creek where I believe the water source came from, but there's actually another gully that it crosses. I don't think I'm at where the water came from yet, so I've got to go down through this steep gully up out the other side and pick up on the race again. See how we go. Geez, I got lucky there. I was just filming over here somewhere. Turns out there's a game trail coming just down through the creek, across the gully and back up to where I am now, and I've picked up on the water race again, but it goes through these ferns. So now that I'm right near the creek bed, it's going to be pretty hard going. But again, there would have had to been some kind of way to get the water across that gully, which would have been a flume 100%. There it is there, a bit easier to see. I walked around the high side where there's less shrubbery to push through. Disappears up around the corner, so rather than go through that, I'm just going to go around the outside here and pick up on it again a bit further along. There's a creek, that's the water source to this water race, and this is the water race here. Getting very close to solving this mystery. How did they get the water from down there to up here, to that dam, to the mine? Okay, I'm pretty much at the spot where I believe was the beginning of the water race. That's it there. I've completely lost it beyond here, but there is a water source over here. Actually, it kind of looks like it might almost be a wallow at the moment, but I can't see any hint of the water race going further around at this stage. So I'll go through for a closer look and see what we can discover. Maybe something there. We'll go to the water first. This is where I just was. Come down to the water. Nice little stagnant pool of water. Looking at the bank over the other side, I'd say Bandy's been in and out. I'm not seeing any obvious dams or anything like that as to how they got the water up higher to the race. I'll push around a little bit further this way. But theoretically, unless the race actually crossed here, theoretically it would have continued along that side. But there's a steep embankment up around further, way higher than creek level. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Let's go and figure it out. So I went past that water on the opposite side of the creek to where the water race ended. And I was looking through the scrub here and I found absolutely nothing. So I've actually come up the hill a little bit and I missed something when I was further down, and that is this point of interest. The camera's not going to make it out well, but that's a really significant drop down there. It appears to be a man-made structure across here, and it goes into a almost like an open cut. You see through there, it's all been dug out, and I'm down in it now. So I'll walk up the end of this. I'm wondering if this was some kind of holding bay for the water to build the height of the water up so that way it could get to the race. But if that's the case, this open cut area would have to come out at creek level, I would assume. I've just got to find my way through. It's going to prove to be difficult. Oh, it opens up, gets a bit more clear. That makes life a lot easier for me. This is awesome. This is all man-made. This isn't a natural water course by all means. Probably find pick marks in the wall if they look good enough. Right, so that's looking back to where I just came from. Very easy to see with the naked eye, but all these walls here, They're not natural. They've definitely been hand stacked and handmade. So something was going on here, but I can see the creek and it's not at this height, not even close. So if they were putting water up in here, how? More questions than answers by all means. We'll go to the creek level and have a bit of a look. Plenty of water down there. So just up through here, that's where that open cut was. It's higher ground up here, higher ground over there. So to me, that looks as if it was absolutely designed to funnel water through, and that would correlate well with the height of the water race on the other side of the creek. But I'm not seeing anything down here at creek level to say that some kind of dam was built here to force water up through there. This section here actually kind of looks like it's been manually dug out, but it doesn't mean it has. I'm running out of daylight, so I'm going to explore back around near where the water race was a little bit more and see if I can find any hints. But otherwise, I'm in trouble. I don't have answers. Okay, the plot thickens. All I've done, last bit of filming I did was about there, looking over this side of the creek. I've just crossed over the creek, looked into this section here that I said appears to be manually dug out, like it might be man-made. But I'm not sure if the GoPro is going to show you. Yeah, it will. Just above my fingernail there, there's a pipe. By the looks of it, a steel pipe. The plot thickens. May as well film pushing through the fernery. Not that you can see, but I'm having to squat down doing this. It's great fun. Go down to the creek bed here, I reckon. Right. So here's that pipe I was on about. That section that I believe was an open cut is up over there. This pipe, sorry, the water race and the mines, no, the water race is just around that corner, but the mine's far, far further that way, kilometres. But this pipe is actually going into the dirt and God knows where. I think I've got to push further around the creek. I don't really have time. So for my theory to work, that's upstream and up the hill there is that open cut. For my theory to work that this area here was dammed, there would have to be a dam across here somewhere. And there's not at all. There is a heap of rubble down here at the end of this pool of water, so it's not saying that there wasn't, I suppose, some kind of man-made dam once upon a time, but that doesn't explain the pipe. Why is the pipe here? Or was that piping water to the water race around the corner? If that's the case, I definitely need to go further upstream. So I've pushed upstream further again in hope to find where that pipe actually interjected the creek. I haven't found any of that. I found plenty of evidence of deer, but I'm sure you can tell through the camera it's thick. And I am out of daylight. It took me a good 2 hours to get where I am. It's not going to take that long to get back because I won't be filming. And I can do a few shortcuts, such as not follow the water race around gullies, but walk straight through them. But still, I've come in here looking for answers and I don't have them. Okay, so I've come back downstream to where I found that pipe. In a last minute bid to try to get some kind of solution, I'm going to follow the creek back around to where I crossed it. But if I don't have answers by then, I'm going to have a third bite at trying to understand how the old timers got water from this creek up into that water race, into that dam and to the mines. Bit of concrete down here. but there was concrete underneath the pipe too. I'm not ruling out the possibility of some kind of dam maybe being here. See the relatively straight edge cut into the bank there. This is the narrowest section, and that would be a good way to force water to build up back here and then go through that open cut, which then they could control. But that pipe, that doesn't make much sense to me unless there's a spot further up that would also get water and they just sped the process up. And the mystery thickens. I get just the other side of that body of water, and you can see all this loose rubble's been pushed up here. It in itself has created this little dam, but the creek flows down and around this side of it. It's not flowing at the moment because it's being dammed up. It goes that way. I'm heading back around to where the water race, where I lost the water race. No matter what, the scenery's been awesome, so this adventure's been worth every bit. Hey, no answer is better than, well, no answer, I suppose. At least I know that I don't quite have the solution to what was going on here. And it's a good opportunity to come back for another adventure and try to unlock the mystery. And this is a pool of water that I come across, but from the other side when I lost the water race. So unfortunately, that's it for this adventure. I really thought when I set out this morning that I'll have an answer as to how water got from this creek along that water race and to the dam that supplied the mine workings a bit further up. Unfortunately, I've got some ideas, but I don't really have the answers. Hopefully the history books that I'm getting my hands on will actually shine some light on this. I think I'm onto it. I think that open cut a bit further up was definitely designed to hold water because that level is roughly the same as what the level is over this side of the creek where the water race begins. So I can only assume that water was withheld back there and fed across. But I'm finding no signs whatsoever of a dam that would have provided that. So that theory is not quite right yet. And there's also that pipe down in the creek bed itself. I don't understand what that's doing there, and I haven't been able to find where it's actually coming from. So I apologise for not actually having an answer by the end of this video, but if you've come along this far in the journey and you like the content, encourage me in every way you can, and like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Leave a comment, give me some feedback, and yeah, hopefully I'll be back out in the bush at some stage soon and creating more content for you. Thanks for watching.